up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Market Markup with your girl Lance. It's been a little while since I did a video, but I'm getting ready to kind of purge or put out a bunch of market markups over the next month or so, starting in July. At least that's my goal. And so my goal is to do a minimum of one per day. And so I've been having people to send me tickers that they'd like me to go over. So if you're interested in seeing me do a market markup on any given ticker, just let me know in the comments. Send me a message if you're connected to me on social media. If you're not, I'll leave my social media information in the description section of this video. Uh, but before we get started, welcome to those of you that are new to my channel. Basically, what I do here is mainly centered on charts. And we know that when you learn to read charts, you can navigate price action in any type of market. So it's definitely not specific to stocks or options. You can use it in crypto, forex, etc., etc. And so that's what I mainly do. I can of course teach on like stock market basics and some fun with fundamentals, some more advanced concepts as well. But I don't do that much. But if you're interested, hit me up, and I'm happy to see if we're a good fit for one another. But um, again, thank you guys for tuning in. And for those of you that are new here, welcome. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell, just so that you can get a little ping or something anytime I put out new content. You'll be one of the first to know. So let's talk about VIX. So VIX is pretty much a measure of stock market volatility. So when I think about VIX, I do think about the broader market, but I don't necessarily think about specific tickers. So like with VIX being, 1576, if I'm looking at Facebook, then I'm not necessarily, that's not really telling me much, if that makes sense. Because if you do a volatility study on individual companies, you'll find that each company has differing levels of volatility. So um, just because VIX's volatility is, just because the broader market volatility is 1576, it doesn't mean that Facebook's is the same, or that Google's is the same, or that Caterpillar's is the same. So that's all I'm trying to say, really. But so VIX is one that I definitely recommend that, if it's not on your watch list, to, put it on your watch list. Of course, this is not investment advice at all. This is just for entertainment purposes only. So, just keep that in mind. But uh, VIX is definitely something that I have on my watch list, and I watch it on a near daily basis, because it's important, because VIX affects the pricing of options. It affects how it affects the movement of the stock market. So just, definitely something that I believe is important to keep an eye on. So as you can see, I have some trend lines there and some price levels, and I'll get to those a little bit later. But so we'll just start with, as I usually do, the yearly chart for VIX. And one thing that I'm seeing that's very consistent across the life of VIX is an area where VIX tends to kind of settle down into and pops. So that level to me is about high $15 range down to about $10. So a few times it's hit lower than $10, but that's really an outlier. And I'd really say, about closer to 10.50, $11. So inside this little area, and I'll just do a little, I'll just draw a little rectangle here. So that is something that I don't forget. So you can easily see, and you can extend it up to $16 or whatever you prefer, but you can definitely clearly see the significance of this area here on this yearly chart. So, and that's one thing that I've been watching for here lately is to see if VIX will settle down into that range. But so far this year, it has been, it dipped down into that range temporarily. It was very short-lived, I believe. But for the most part, it's been sitting above that range. So actually, today it closed just a little bit inside that range, so at the top end. So, we'll see if it keeps falling or if it, holds or bounces from here. So, no true, no true trend as in bullishness or bearishness overall on VIX. It's just been consolidating for forever. So, the VIX mostly matters. Beyond this point, VIX mostly matters on those shorter time frames. So within a year, I would say each year, and each year will bring its own level of volatility. But I'm not going to jump on a soapbox or anything like that. But here you can clearly see VIX has been as high as $172.79, and I could not possibly imagine how nutty that market was back in, what's that, 87? Nutty. And I thought last year was nutty as VIX got over $80 in 2020, hit as high as 85. So that's only the third highest that VIX has ever been. So this must have been yeah, '08, I figured. So in '08, it got as high as 89. So 2020 almost, it came within like $4 of hitting '08 high. But anyway, that's probably the most significant thing that I'm seeing here on the yearly chart. So the downside is between pretty much we'll just say to keep the numbers simple, about 16 to $11. And then as far as the upside is concerned, um, another key area I would say is right slightly above 20, so about the low $20 range. Is pretty significant as well. And as you can see, VIX has been struggling. So VIX, any move above 2020, 2020's closing price, which was 22.75, VIX has pretty much struggled to beat that this year. So it's popped up above that level a few times this year, but been very difficult to sustain that level of volatility. So yeah, definitely I would make note of 2020's closing price. And I really don't want to have my chart look too messy, but I'm just gonna do it for now. Let's see, 22.75. So we'll go to edit. Do white this time. Make it a little thicker. Hit OK. Alright, so clear. Oh, I forgot to show on the right. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty much all I want to say about VIX's yearly chart. Another level 37. So about 30, 35 to 37. I wouldn't say I'd watch that, but just another level because I mean that's pretty far distance away. But yeah, let's move on to the monthly. All right, so same thing with the monthly that I discussed in the yearly chart, but you have a better picture of um, what I discussed as being the bottom range of VIX. So that floor, that strong floor on VIX, historically you got a better picture of it here on the monthly chart. Um, got some overall trending down here on the monthly. Let's do a trend line. We'll start. Actually, we'll just go ahead and start here. And I'm just seeing. No, I don't like that at all. Let's go from here and see how that looks. Okay, so yeah, that looks a lot better. Um, so basically, this trend line is kind of showing what the upside potential has been for the past several months. So, got a touch here in January, another touch here February, then March, April tested it. Well, April actually didn't. April's down, way down here. May tested it. June, uh, tried to, but not so far. As you can see, after April, or pretty much at April, um, VIX has been mostly trading below that 2020 close. So, um, actually, okay, so in March of this year, VIX closed. That was the first close below um, 2020 close of 2275 for the year. And ever since March, VIX has struggled to get back above 2275. So um, definitely speaks to the significance of that 2020 close level that I talked about in the last time frame. Um, let's see, one, two, three, four touches there. So as VIX, there's gonna have to be something here at some point. You know, uh, it's I just don't know that VIX can continue to just maybe it just goes into a period of more consolidation. But what we're seeing here is some obvious downward pressure, so some lower highs here. But here we're seeing, kind of some lower lows as well. But definitely be watching to see if this upside pressure continues to push it down into this level and maybe down to new lows, um, which of course would propel the markets to higher highs. So new all-time highs. I believe SPX hit a new all-time high today. Facebook hit a new all-time high today. So, and some other companies did as well, I'm pretty sure, but those are two that I follow pretty regularly. But yeah, so um, that's pretty much what I'd be watching for on this time frame. Just, on a month-to-month basis to see if VIX continues to fail at this trend line and be pushed down into support here. So I'm actually going to. This is going to represent um, resistance. I'll make that bold. I'm gonna change the color on that, and boom, we'll do that. Okay. White. There we go. I'm gonna take a little screenshot so I can move on. All right. Okay, so that's pretty much all I'm seeing as far as the monthly chart is concerned. I don't necessarily see any sort of reversal pattern or anything like that right now. But doesn't mean that one won't form. But you know, it's a monthly chart, so I'll probably come back and check in a couple of days when the month of June is over, just to see how June's candlestick turns out. So uh, yeah, let's see. Okay, so also for the month of April, the price broke down out of this box that I identified um, on a previous analysis. So if you notice, most of VIX's price action from May of last year until March of this year has been contained um, mostly between that $37 and about $19 range, $19.50 range. So uh, April VIX opened below that range and failed to really make it above it, but uh, both the last 2 months, so May and June, VIX has failed to maintain its price above, 19 and a half. So, just noticing a pattern of consistently lower highs on your historical or your long-term time frames is significant. Um, Not gonna say, what VIX will and will not do. Just looking at, what's here now. Um, but for now, it's pretty much wedged between two key levels. But I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the weekly chart and see how that's looking. Okay, so weekly chart, definitely seeing lower highs. It definitely appears to be kind of leveling out here over the past several weeks. So maybe we get some resolution, maybe VIX has a change of heart, um, sometime this summer, maybe going into late summer, who knows? Could happen before then, but I'd say no later than early September. We see some resolution as far as what VIX wants to do. And like I said, it could continue to be range bound, but right now VIX is obviously in a stage or phase of consolidation for the time being. Continues to fail to get above that 2020 closing range. So um, definitely something to keep an eye on. VIX, there's a gap that I identified a while back, and VIX finally filled that gap. So, in upon seeing this gap, I hypothesized that at some point VIX was going to fill that gap. And as you can see, it took a little while, but finally did um, during the earlier part of this year. Let me see, my battery is looks like it's going on me. Um, What else am I seeing here on the weekly chart? Not really seeing any kind of patterns here either, but you can obviously see that the price is holding strong at the top of this historical range that I talked about on the yearly time frame once again. So maybe, as far as historical lows, maybe VIX is creating some higher lows historically. Um, as far as the weekly chart is concerned, and what I mean by that is here, you see price got as low as $10 here. Generally, the price did not get price got as low as maybe 12, and now we're up to like that 16, $15 range. But time will tell. Um, I still feel the same way about this trend line that I drew on the monthly chart. Until the price gets above that 2020 close. Really, first of all, price getting above about 19 and a half. Once it gets above 2020 close, then maybe sentiment is starting to change as far as overall bullishness in the markets. So let's move on to the daily chart. Hopefully I can get this done before my battery dies on me. But yeah, I'm not really seeing anything super special right now on the daily chart, except the fact that VIX is trading below its 50-day moving average. And the 200-day as well. So you notice that 200 pretty much lines almost right up with that 2020 close. It's about 10 cents off. So definitely just one of those things that further speaks to the significance of that 2275 area. So ignore this dark cloud cover thing. This was something um, on a previous analysis. Talked about that last week, so I can actually take that off. And so, well, basically what that was I was looking on the daily chart, saw this dark cloud cover here, and so with that, that fed into a bearish thesis for VIX, but a bullish thesis for the overall markets. So that's all that was. But yeah, so currently trading below the 50 and the 200-day moving averages. Looks like we're doing some lower highs or higher lows, I'm sorry, over the past few days. Didn't even realize VIX got in the low $14 range on the 24th. So that was what, Thursday. Didn't realize that, but anyway. So may have found a bottom for now. But let's just see what VIX does out of this demand zone. But I'll be watching this golden area about the mid to low $17 range is a level that I'll be watching short term. So uh, the historically 16 or roughly 16 to 11, short term about 17 to 17 and a half, and then the 15 and 19 and a half. I'm sorry, and then that 2020 close of 22.75, so high 20s. But once VIX gets above that golden area, so that 17 to 17.5, be paying attention to where that 50-day moving average is, and then know that once it gets above there, it won't be far off from that 200-day moving average. So VIX is one that I like to look at historically, but I tend to place place emphasis on it on a day-to-day basis as well, especially when I'm looking at short-term swings. So if I see something where VIX looks like it's about to pop, then I gotta factor that into my decision as far as entries, exits, and what have you. But yeah, so no real, hypothesis on VIX besides, just some levels to watch out for. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I appreciate your watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.